time. So we're going to kick things off today. Welcome to Educators on Education, a Study.com webinar series. We are delighted to have you with us today. Before we dig into introductions and our agenda, please go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself by completing the poll on your screen. Thank you to those of you who already have. We see so many responses coming in. Also, we do have a large group today, which is so exciting. For that reason, we've muted attendees to prevent background noise. That said, if you have any questions, please navigate to the Q&A tab, and our team will be monitoring and responding to questions there. My name is Krista Shaw. I'm so excited to be with you today. I've been lucky enough to call Study.com my professional home for the last 4.5 years. And I expect that after today's presentation, you'll understand how much I love Study.com, and you may love it just as much as I do. I oversee our success team that works with schools and school districts, including our team of former teachers and former administrators who dedicate their days to ensuring that teachers like you and schools like yours are maximizing Study.com for their students. I will be your host for today's webinar, and I'd like to introduce you to my partner, Gordon Dean. Gordon has spent the last 10 years in the K-12 technology space with a mission focused on creating engaging tools for teachers and students alike. He spends his time at Study.com as one of our chief designers of our K-12 teacher solution, which many of you know and love, and positively impacting the classrooms of teachers in over 9,000 school districts across the country. So Gordon, let's get to it.
Thanks, Krista, for that incredibly flattering introduction. Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to introduce you to Study.com. We're going to go over the basics so you can be confident when you're trying to find and use the content that is right for you. We want you to leave here knowing 3 easy ways to integrate Study.com into your classrooms, facilitate lesson planning, assigning homework, and classroom discussions. We'll make sure to save some time at the end for questions, so let's dive in. You may be familiar with Study.com's comprehensive catalog of more than 30,000 video lessons that cover all subjects in grades 3 to 12. But we offer so many other resources and teacher tools to help you incorporate that rich content into your teaching practice, including pre-made lesson plans and integrations with popular learning management systems like Google Classroom. Study.com has become an incredibly flexible supplemental curriculum able to support teachers in a variety of different ways, from supporting synchronous teacher-led learning in class, to assigning homework or extra resources to provide asynchronous independent learning at home, to enabling just-in-time learning.
You know, Gordon, this is one of the things that over the last two to 3 years now, in the craziness that we've all dealt with, teachers have told us this flexibility of Study.com to be able to have their Study.com meet them where their classroom is and how they need to adjust to their classroom is something that they've been really thankful for, and it's something that we are very proud of.
Awesome. Diving into the content, Study.com's micro lessons have been proven to drive higher student engagement and outcomes. And our suite of teacher tools, including customizing the videos and quizzes, help you make our content your own and facilitate sharing it with your students. Our animated videos are designed to be short and engaging, averaging about 5 minutes in length, followed by a quick 5-question quiz designed to quickly assess student understanding and highlight any learning gaps. We know that not every student learns the same way, so students can choose to watch or listen to the video, as well as read along with the transcript. In addition to the curriculum, we have a massive library of resources developed to help teachers continue to learn and hone their craft, with guides on social emotional learning to advice for newly online teachers. We often hear that teachers come for our video lessons and then they stay for the additional resources.
Gordon, you nailed it on that piece. As times change and teachers' needs change, their classroom circumstances change. Some of the feedback we get from teachers is that having these resources is sort of the hidden gem or the added bonus of Study.com that they often love to use in times that a need arises.
Thank you. So now that you know kind of roughly what our content is, once you get onto the product, what happens? So the first thing that you'll see is this pop-up. And you'll want to let us know what you teach so we can customize your experience and content recommendations to your subject and grade level. We know that managing your roster and gradebook can be a huge pain, so we have tried to make it easier by integrating with popular learning management systems like Canvas, Google Classroom, and Schoology. You can import your existing classrooms and then share assignments and grades on your platform of choice. And if you're one of our school plans, we have an even greater set of features available to make this process easier. If you don't use one of these learning management systems, we still have you covered. You can invite students to join your Study.com classrooms directly with a single link and manage all of your assignments and grades in one place on Study.com.
Gordon, I might interrupt you there. We did just get a question in the chat, and it says, you said something about school plan being different than the teacher plan that I have. How does that impact? Oh, okay. So I think this teacher is really trying to understand. You mentioned that with a school plan, there is a deeper level of integration with the LMS. So I think it's important to note that beyond our teacher plans, we work directly with schools to purchase on behalf of teachers so that all teachers and all students within a school can have access to everything that Study.com has to offer. So that comes with a deeper integration and a lot of extra bells and whistles, as well as support from our client success team and training for teachers, really to ensure that it's implemented with fidelity within the school. So if that's something that you are interested in, or you think your school might be interested in, work with your sales manager and they can get you more information on that. That was a great question.
Awesome. That's a great call out, Krista. Thank you for responding to that. Now we're going to kind of dive in and go over, okay, we have our content, we know how to get started. It's awesome that we can manage our roster in our classrooms with our LMS or on Study, but how are the different ways that I can incorporate this into my classroom? So lesson planning, as promised, to assess prior knowledge, to prepare for a unit assessment or benchmarking, for discussions in class or to support the flipped classroom model, supporting work for students who are homesick or even assigning homework. There are a number of ways where teachers have had success utilizing Study.com. And as promised, we will focus on kind of 3 core use cases just to get you started. Now I'm going to switch over to Study.com and show you live how Study can help you with planning, classroom discussions, and assigning homework.
And while Gordon is switching screens, we are going to launch our second poll question. So I hope you didn't think you were going to get away easy from today's webinar. We're really looking to understand, what are you most interested in learning more about Study.com? We've teased a couple things, so you'll see everything from lesson plans to video lessons, custom courses, quiz party. Please go ahead and cast your vote. I see some votes coming in, and that is wonderful. So great votes coming in. Gordon, while you're pulling up the screen, I'm just going to let you know, it sounds like there's some interest in assigning lessons, hosting quiz party, custom course looks like it might be taking the lead here. So those are all things that we had planned to cover. And I think that's a great place to start. Thank you for your feedback.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. I definitely think that we are going to be able to cover a lot of what you just requested. So let's get started. We are looking at a teacher account on Study.com. And so we're going to start with, what every teacher does with lesson plans. So I have a unit coming up. I am a chemistry teacher. So for those of you who do not teach chemistry, this can be a great refresher to when you probably, struggled with chemistry as I did. So where do I go? What's a great place to start? Well, under curriculum, in addition to our awesome courses, you can find lesson plans on a wide range of topics. And so, for example, if I have a unit coming up on the periodic table, I have a pre-built lesson plan that helps me kind of, contextualize and provide a, completely different experience, maybe completely offline. But I have those related lessons on Study.com to kind of tie things back to the platform. And so the other incredible feature, in addition to those lesson plans, are custom courses. So I've created a science demo course, and as I look at my custom course here, you'll notice that I have a bookmark chapter. This is going to be super important. So now let's hop on over to our science courses. And if I'm a high school chemistry teacher, I can filter down to high school and chemistry, and boom, I see chemistry high school right there. Now, Study.com has a ton of essentially student-driven courses that students can sign up for and take on their own. But you as a teacher don't necessarily want to teach things the way the Study.com was, and that is totally fine. You can use the way that we've structured our course as kind of a reference for your own instruction. And then what you can do is you can go in and say, okay, awesome, periodic table of elements. Let's see what Study has to offer here. You can scroll down and see all of the lessons within this particular chapter. And you can say, okay, interesting, you know what? Actually, the way we teach it, we don't really talk about the diagonal relationship or electronegativity. That all seems like something that's going to be outside of the scope and sequence for my particular unit. However, it is really important that we cover valence electrons. So let me go into this particular unit here, and let's click on Save, select my course. Oh, of course, I already added this one. So let's just say we're going to do atomic radii instead, which sounds even harder. Add it to the demo course, select that bookmarks chapter, and then as we go back to our custom course here and refresh, you can see that it's going to pop up in my bookmark chapter. You can see I've already created my unit 2 for periodic table. You can see I've already added some lessons here, and I can just say, okay, awesome. This is going to really help me kind of like round out that unit. Now, if I am feeling pretty good about this, I can head to the chapter page, I can review it. Oh, interesting, I might want to change the order of this. That's totally fine. But now I have mapped Study.com's content to my own scope and sequence, taking things out that I wouldn't necessarily want to cover and making sure that things are kind of sequenced correctly. I can now, say, okay, cool. I've figured out my plan. I have multiple units prepared. I am very on top of it. This is great. How do I actually give content access to my students? How do I get this content to my students? So a lot of different ways to do that, and we're going to go through all of them real quick. So I can share full chapters. If I'm like, okay, you know what? At the beginning, I would just like to say, awesome. We are this week going to be all about that periodic table. I'll share out this whole chapter, and then all of my students will get access to all of the lessons in this chapter that I just shared. However, if I really want to kind of sequence this one at a time to not necessarily overwhelm my students, let's go in here and say, actually, I'm going to go in and assign just this particular lesson. That works too. I can then come in here, share, select what classroom I want to share it with. If, there are actually a couple of students who need a refresher on specifically, what is that periodic table, I can actually assign it to individual students if I want that level of differentiation. I can come in here, select the classroom, select the due date, add any particular instructions, and then boom, send it out and it'll show up on your student's dashboard. The other thing that I wanted to kind of highlight is that you can, if I go back to my custom courses, you can also share chapter tests, and those chapter tests are going to be kind of automatically generated for units or chapters that have at least 4 lessons in them. And we've had teachers have a ton of success using those as prep for unit assessments, because at the end of that, students will get a kind of assessment of their strengths and weaknesses for the questions and lessons in that particular unit or chapter. And it ends up being a great way for them to say, okay, cool. If I really need to focus on one thing, I only have, one night left. What do I focus on to really help me better understand what I'm missing and then really ace those unit tests? Once I have kind of, sent out that assignment, I can then go to that classroom. I can see all the assignments that I've shared out, go to the particular assignment, and then I can see a bunch of awesome information right off the bat. So overall, I can see, okay, great, of my 16 students, 9 have completed, 7 are still incomplete. If the deadline is way out, totally fine. If the deadline was yesterday, that's not as great. I can see overall scores for my class, first score, best score. And then I can quickly scan through the list and see, okay, wow, it does look like my class does need a little bit more help on electron configurations. And that's totally fine because there are tons of resources that I can use on Study and off Study to maybe address this topic in a follow-up. And so this level of detail for your lessons and your quizzes, for your chapter tests, gives you a ton of great insight into how your class is doing. And our kind of most successful teachers on the platform are assigning about 5 lessons a week. And they're doing this because, they can engage their students at home or in class, and then they get this great insight into like whether or not their students are understanding the content. But you don't just necessarily have to use Study.com as homework. You can also use this in the classroom. And there are some awesome tools built into the lessons themselves that enable you to do that. So a lot of teachers will come in and go full screen. They'll play the video, and then they'll go full screen and actually present it in class. Then they'll actually go and do the quiz live with students kind of holding up whiteboards or calling out answers to do kind of a more informal, formative assessment. We also have a quiz party, which allows you to kind of generate a kind of Kahoot style quiz. It's a very informal assessment meant to really kind of engage your students. It doesn't count towards their grade. It's really meant for you as a teacher to kind of use in class to say, okay, cool, how are my students understanding what we're learning? You can also even go in and customize our videos with slides of your own, adding kind of, breaking points throughout the video. If you'd like to insert, questions of your own or additional information or additional callouts at different timestamps throughout. And then as you're playing the video, it will pause, show what you've added, and then allow you to then move on once you've kind of, asked that question, got that response, and allows you to kind of like break things up, keep things fresh, and keep students engaged. In general, that is one of the key things that teachers have loved about us previously are the short kind of engaging videos. And we've added multiple teacher tools to kind of continue to push and drive that engagement in the classroom. So those are kind of the 3, easy ways in which you can kind of incorporate Study. You can use it for lesson planning, taking our content, mapping it to your own scope and sequence, using our pre-made lesson plans. You can then assign that material at the kind of chapter level, the chapter exam level, or individual quizzes and lessons to, entire classes or to individual students. And there are a ton of different ways in which you can kind of engage with your students during class, showing off the quizzes, showing off the lessons, and kind of, shaking up your lessons to continue to drive student engagement. Now I'm going to head back over to the slide deck so that we can make sure to answer any questions that have come up in the meantime.
Awesome, Gordon. As you're transitioning back, I want to mention the enhancements that Gordon just showed you to the custom course feature represents feedback from our teachers. We listen, and you asked and we listened, and our team was hard at work to improve the ease of use of that feature. So if it's something that you've tried in the past, and maybe it looks different today, we can't wait to see how you interact with the enhancements that we made there.
Awesome, thanks, Krista. Okay, so one more time, wanting to recap, because I know that was a lot in rapid fire succession. So what can Study.com help you do? Well, it is one solution covering all subjects on a single platform across grades 3 through 12. And so if you teach multiple subjects, if you're a school and you're looking for, that silver bullet solution across all of the departments, Study.com can really help you with that. With custom courses on our, pre-made lesson plans, allowing you to customize our content to match your scope and sequence. We know that you are the experts, and we want to put the tools in your hands to kind of like make your instruction as effective as it can be. Our video-based learning can be used both in the classroom and as homework. The students love our videos, and the built-in quizzes give you the data that you need to understand whether or not your students are learning that material, and not necessarily at the end of a unit, you get that data right away. And then finally, with Quiz Party, showing those videos in class, adding those slides, we really believe, and our videos have kind of been proven out to really drive student engagement. And so with kind of those four pieces there, we hope that you can kind of take what you learned here and try it out yourself.
Okay, Gordon, we have a few questions that have come in through the chat. Let me touch on some of the quick and easy ones first. There was a comment about the frustrations around students never remembering login passwords. My kids are the same. I never can keep track of their stuff. The great thing about the teacher accounts on Study.com is that students don't have to keep track of all of those details. You as the teacher assign lessons, whether it's to your LMS that we have integrated with, or you're using a Study.com classroom. That student receives a direct link to that lesson. So they don't have to navigate their way to Study.com and figure out where it is. We make it very targeted and it's teacher led. So hopefully that addresses any of those concerns that you have there. We also have a question regarding alignment to state standards, Common Core specifically. That is something within our school plans that our client success team aligns with school leaders and makes sure that all of the teachers within our school plans have immediate access to the resources that teachers need. And we continue to evolve our sites to make sure we get those specific resources aligned to standards where necessary. Let's see, we also have another question here, and it says, if I have a behind student, can I assign specific lessons to just them? Gordon, would you like to touch on that?
Totally, yes. So you can totally sign, lessons out, chapters out to your entire class if you're trying to make things available. But if there are particular students that need some additional assistance, you can at any point target individual students or small groups of students and assign them specifically additional resources. So totally within the capability of the platform.
Awesome. The next question was, what is the difference in Google Classroom if we are individual teachers versus if we use it for the whole school or a department? We briefly touched on that, Gordon. I'll probably let you finish up, but again, the difference between school plan and individual teachers is a lot of additional support and a lot of different coaching and training and success planning, as well as that deeper integration. It includes things like automatically creating teacher accounts instead of teachers going and setting up a username and password individually. And it also includes leveraging that single sign-on process. So going straight from that LMS right into Study.com. Gordon, what else did I miss there? Was there anything else?
Yeah, I think, making sure sign on, and we heard that question earlier, signing in is really, really challenging. And so single sign on makes it so that your students have to remember fewer passwords, which is great, but also especially at the beginning of the school year when your roster is changing potentially daily as students are moving in and out of both the district or maybe in between classrooms, making sure that we have a kind of automatic connection between study classrooms and your learning management classrooms to make sure that those stay synced automatically and that you're not having to kind of like update your rosters in multiple different places. In general, with our learning management system integrations, we want you to have kind of that one source of truth that you use across not just Study.com, but your entire practice when it comes to your roster, your grade book, your assignments, even for sign-on purposes, making it really easy for you and your students to kind of keep track of everything and kind of continuously and easily access things in the same place.
Awesome. Let's see, how much support do we get if we adopt this? Oh, that's a fun question. So Study.com is always here to support you. We have our teacher users have access to customer support via support tickets on site. They get back to them within a less than 24-hour period. So we as an organization are always here to support our users. Regarding a school plan, I think when they said if we adopt this, perhaps that means at a school plan level, we have full wraparound support. So we're really proud of the fact that we have former teachers and administrators who are on our team that know the daily life of teachers and principals, and they work arm in arm with our clients, our principals, and our heads, curriculum heads to build out success plans. Digging into providing everything from providing training to ensuring that there's easy navigation and access to the standards aligned content that's important to the school or the department. So that is something we're very proud of. It's not an additional charge. It's built in and woven through our school plan model. So you have a high degree of support, I think, unlike anything that you've experienced with other organizations. Let's see. So we have a little bit of time left. I'm watching the clock here. I see. Are there any other formative assessments besides the quizzes? Gordon, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's my favorite question because I get to brag about something new. So in addition to the quizzes, we didn't have a chance to check out the chapter tests, but both the automatically generated chapter tests in custom courses, but even if you don't use custom courses, at the end of each chapter within a Study.com course, you have chapter exams, which are an incredible resource because they have kind of these awesome reports that they generate that show you student strengths and weaknesses, which are great for both the students in their kind of preparation for, say, an end of unit assessment, but also for teachers to kind of get that really teachers can kind of figure that stuff out as well. But having multiple sources of input around what your students are strong at and what your students need help with, I think is always helpful. And then, our new thing, which we'll talk about a little bit because our next webinar is on this topic. We have a new skills feature that basically kind of takes, the higher level learning piece from our lessons and, the kind of comprehension check that our quizzes serve and goes a little bit deeper into kind of the application, a really granular level of application. And so if you're looking for more practice and more granular assessments, as well as, large chunks of questions for mixed review or creating more formal assessments, that skills feature is going to be able to kind of provide that for you. And we'll be able to go into more detail on that later.
Yeah, if you can't tell, we're pretty excited over here. I'm going to rapid fire through these last two questions. So I have several students who are bilingual. Is there built-in support for those students? The answer is yes. For our school plans, we do offer the added feature of Google Translate. So we can work with the school to turn that on in your Study.com account and ensure that everything on the site, all titles, all text, even the video captions are translated to the language of choice. The last question is, what about other states who don't use Common Core? I think I mentioned Common Core in a previous question. Florida, Texas, California. So again, our client success team works very closely with our school leaders and ensures and builds out a plan. And we have a lot of that mapping completed. So client success comes in and really leverages all of the alignment that we have behind the scenes and make sure teachers have direct access to the content that aligns to the standards within the state that they are in. I think we have about 1 minute left, so we're going to jump through a quick preview. Gordon mentioned it. We're so excited about this revolutionary new product that we're adding to Study.com. It's a layer on top of all of the wonderful content and lessons that we have. So be sure to join us on August 24th. It's going to be quick, but very informative regarding our new skills feature. So register for that upcoming webinar. We can't wait to see you again there. And this is just a last call out. Grab your phones out, take a picture, get the QR code. Our client success team provides office hours, standing office hours to support our teacher users. So for anyone who's on the call today that's looking for additional support or wants to go a layer deeper beyond what Gordon demonstrated, if you grab your phone out, this will take you to a site with live links to our office hours, which we would be so happy to get to know you and support you in making Study.com successful within your classroom and within your school. So with that, I think we are right on time. The Study.com team would just like to thank you on behalf of Gordon and myself. Thanks for your time and have a wonderful school year. Thanks so much.
Thank you.